And we will now move into a key relevant conversation, which is titled Infrastructure Development in Chile, a Strategic Outlook, which will be taken by the Undersecretary Balmaceda and Mr. Alfredo Ergas, the Director of InBest ChileDay. And the goal of this conversation is to go deeper into the investment pipeline, the concession framework, and the opportunities that Chile's infrastructure agenda offers to international institutional investors. They are planning to open the stage to questions from the audience, so be prepared. Alfredo?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will start to say that all what you said, Mr. Balmaceda, has been like music for all of the people who has been working in infrastructure and energy in the last couple of years. So thank you very much. Only we are in the same line to try to foster what our intention as a government and as a country. First of all, the topics that we are planning to cover here, it will be a couple of questions that I plan to do to the Undersecretary, and then I will ask if you have some questions, because I received some informal questions, so it will be a good opportunity to the crowd to be able to participate. So that's the way how we are planning to run the panel. The topics that I hope that we will have been able to cover, it will be, first of all, I just finalized a trip by Europe and the States with the institutional investor, and we have a lot of competition. We have a lot of competition from the US and from Australia and from other jurisdictions. So we need to find a way how to make Chile more attractive and to be seen as a secure and a very profitable market, and to have a good risk return, because at the end, this is the things that we are taking care when we decide investment. Other topics that we want to cover here, it will be hedge, as Mr. Balmaceda mentioned, rule of law, permissiology, what is a new word that we create in Chile, hopefully after the 4 years that you will be in charge, that it will be erased from our vocabulary.
Long forgotten.
Yeah, that will be our goal. And then risk return, competition, and infra in mining and gas. I think it will be very important that we make a broader definition of what is infrastructure, so that means that we can include all of the things that is required for one of the things that we have a lot in Chile, what is mining and industry of gas. Actually, we don't have gas, but we need a lot of gas. So those are the topics that we are planning to talk here. And meanwhile, we're speaking here to think about a very smart question that you can raise at the 10 minutes before the end. So, Mr. Undersecretary, my first question, it will be, if you need to define in one sentence, which one it will be the special advantage or specific things that we are doing well in Chile that can make attractive for the people here and the people in other jurisdictions to invest in Chile?
I would say what makes Chile distinctive throughout our region is seriousness from a different standpoint, from a credit risk analysis. I already mentioned that it's rated A over our most close regional competitors, several notches over them. That makes the risk analysis department's life very easy in terms of approving an investment in Chile. But we also, not only from a financial standpoint, from a legal standpoint, have been very serious about it. And even though we have experienced dramatic changes in government and political tendencies, even constitutional discussions, at the end, what has been, after all that noise, what we can see is that the Chilean people is reasonable people. They do not want to change the model, the system. They only are asking for better living conditions. And if the industry is going to do that work, well, so be it. And we, as a new administration, are helping to take those steps and to make this industry to get better reputation, by creating that public infrastructure that it's needed throughout the country.
Thank you, yeah. But when we are talking about South America in front of the international investor, they say, okay, South America, a lot of volatility, there is uncertainty and regulation, and sometimes there is a lot of social problems or things that happen in those countries. Today, I don't know if we are so special compared with other countries, so I don't know if the others became better or we became worse. But at the end, how do you think that we need to manage that, and how it can be the answer from the government and from the state in order to try to regulate all of those uncertainties?
Well, those social outcries that we have experienced in the past, it's not only Chile, it's not only Latin America. I mean, I have vivid memories of the Yellow Jackets in France, and we have seen in Asia similar movements. And this is a new world, and we are all experiencing those difficulties. So the way to work that out is to be well connected with the needs of the country. We, as a new administration, have a clear mandate from President Kass and going through Minister Arau, which is my boss, which is to be in the regions, to be in the field. In 6 weeks, I've been in 6 regions in Chile. The ministry have been in 15. I don't know how he does it, but he's been throughout the country, and President Kass as well. This is the way that we connect with the needs, and then that needs to be taken into consideration in order to plan. And we are planning to do those changes that our system requires. For instance, it's no mystery, there has been a lot of coverage by the media in Chile that we are having discussions with the main operators of the urban roads in Santiago because the toll roads are too expensive. An average citizen of Santiago is spending around 15% of their income paying toll roads, and that's not sustainable in the long term. And we are having discussions. This is a bilateral discussion. We have 9 different contracts, so it's a complex negotiation, but it has been done in the past. Originally, 20 years ago, those contracts had an adjustment model of IPC plus 3.5%, and that was negotiated and eliminated in 2020. So this can be done. We can lower the price of that. We can offer in return longer duration of those agreements. We can help with problems that the concessionaires are experiencing, as the evasion. How do you say that?
And collection.
Right. And in that way to have a more sustainable system. And also our view is that the new generation of concessions should only pay for the OPEX of the new concessions and not charging the citizens again with CAPEX, which is a way to collect taxes without telling them, right? And through that, not doing a great favor to our concessionaires that are the bad guys in front of the people that are paying for those services. So that's the way that we want to accomplish that goal, to have a more sustainable system and to address the needs of public infrastructure that are still great in the country.
We talk about the rule of law. You mentioned in your presentation how important it is, and during all of the, we have a private meeting before of this panel, and it was one more time, repeat how important is the rule of law. International investors, they can live with a lot of uncertainties, but rule of law and the right that is, if a contract is written and you want to exercise, and there will be a fair treatment. So how can you give us that in the past, or some example if you have, that Chile has been respect all of them, and how strong have you seen from now to the future that that tradition it will continue?
Well, Chile is a country that has...
And special as a lawyer also.
Yes, of course. Of course. I practiced for 30 years as infrastructure lawyer, so I'm well aware of that. But Chile is a country that is regarded for the respect to the rule of law. and with respect treaties as well. And that's why we take into great consideration when we send the wrong signals to the investors. Also, it's well known that in Chile there is no discrimination against the foreign investors. There are no specific rules that will favor national against international companies. And that's something that has been in place for decades, and nobody changed to plan that. And that's why we take into great consideration where there are changes. Although they might be small, we were having a discussion. What has been done with PMGDs in the energy area is a really, really bad sign. We are looking at that and those small signs with great consideration, because we understand that the only way to attract new businesses is not only respecting that rule of law, but giving the proper signals in that regard.
And if you need to make a pitch for 5 minutes to a new investor, which one it will be the thing that they need to do in the next 12 months?
You might be a bit late if you want to take part of those projects in the next 12 months, but if you're really fast, you should take into consideration the very aggressive pipelines that we have. It's almost $5 billion. There are space for several types of companies, for several types of investors, different typology of construction. Some companies would prefer roads. Well, they will have 55% of our pipeline to do that. Others may want to help us with prisons, which is a very urgent need. So I would say that the field is prepared to receive several kinds of different investors from different latitudes, and they can do a short due diligence and see why we do have investment from China, from Korea, from Italy, France, Spain, from Canada, and also from Latin America as well. And that's it's the answer to a system that has been working in the long run, that has been giving proper returns to those investments, and we are planning to maintain and to improve that.
Once you have a concession, or in the process that you are making the construction of that, as something natural, you happen and you found a lot of problems or things that is written in the contract that both part, MOP and the concessionary, are not agree, and you need to go to a panel, and there is a very long administrative process. So between the things that you are planning to fix, is there anything that it will be a change in the game in order to make it faster and to give more capacity for the investor to know which one it will be the timing that it will be resolved?
Yes, we are tackling that issue from several angles. One of them is the permissiology that you have mentioned. In Chile approved a law last year, the framework law to authorizations, sectorial authorizations, and we are in the process of issuing the rules, the reglamentos, to make that law happen. Best estimates are that the processes may reduce in 30% of the time that is devoted to those permits. It's not enough. We are well aware of that. I mean, mining projects may need 10,000 permits and 8 years to become a reality, and that's something that went out of hands, and we are in the process of deleting much of those duplicated process, in changing what were authorization by sworn statements, and with those techniques we believe that we are doing a proper job and a very concrete job in order to assess those issues. That's from the permissiology standpoint.
Do you have a timing of those, something that the concessionary industry and all the people that...
We have already issued regulation in that regard. For instance, our General Directorate of Water, the DGA, Dirección General de Aguas, has the infamous record of being the second entity of the state which has more pending requests to solve. 28,000 folders waiting to an answer. And that's regrettable, and we have set up a plan to reduce those 28,000 to 0. That's the commitment, a very concrete commitment in the 4 years to come. And we have also worked with the industry in order to, in terms of, for instance, bidding rules for concessions, to change them and to subtract many risks that has been passed from the state to the private sector in the past 10 years. We're working, you mentioned something along those lines, in alternative methods for dispute resolution. Mediation is something that we are going to promote. And although that is not that problem with the concession industry, because we do have technical panels and arbitrations, in the public works world, not concession, but where the MOB is who mandates the job, that going to ordinary tribunals is something that many companies cannot face. I mean, a medium construction company that has to wait 8 years to be paid, we have seen the result of that. There are several companies that used to work with the MOB in the past and that have publicly declared that they are not interested in working with us anymore. So the work that we are doing is in order to become the reliable partner that we used to be.
And talking about, let's say, a new sovereign fund that wants to invest in Chile, one of the things that years ago it was a clue, it was the Decreto Ley 600, the 600 decree. I don't know, this is a free translation. But gives to the investor a secure where to invest, that they need to have access to a currency and a lot of other conditions. Do you have any plans or any I don't know in your program in order to implement those, and if you have a timing for those?
Excellent question.
Thank you. That was prepared.
So we have already tackled that in the Bill of Law of the National Reconstruction. We have included a fixed tax rate as we used to have from 1974 to 2016. We had a 42% income rate fixed for in foreign investors. And that was unfortunately was taken out from the table, and we have presented a bill of law that includes that a new rate, 35%, but also with measures that will make sure that that cannot be taken away easily. We are creating a system where the project will get that rate no matter where, so that if the law changes, the project will still have assured that fixed rate. And in that way, I believe that we can get more of the competition that we are lacking lately.
I'm talking about, because it was in the lines that I mentioned that it will be one of the topics that we are planning to cover, it will be hedge. For international investor, one more time, it's easier to invest in US instead of UF. It takes like 2 or 3 days to explain what is a UF and why do we have a UF. CPI that index to the prices. So have you done any effort, or do you have knowledge about how important it will be to try to find, because in the current contracts there is some way how to manage the currency risk, but have you planned to develop any special effort in order to try to make easier the hedge?
Yes, we do have a plan. We understand that having the UF has been a relief. It allows you to have bonds for 25 years duration and to protect the investor from the local inflation. But that has not been enough in order to attract foreign investment that is looking to dollar returns. Although we do have a market, a hedge market that works for covering that UF with US dollars between 5 and 10 years, the goal will be to have contracts that allow those returns in the long run, 25 years, 30 years, that will compensate, for instance, part of the early termination payments with US dollars. And that's something that we fully understand. It's a request of the industry. It has been mentioned several times, but up to date there hasn't been a serious plan in order to tackle that, and that's something that we're working on.
Thank you. And let's call that between 2019 around 2024, we have been a very intense years for the country. Many things happen. So which one do you think that it would be the color or the signal that your government wants to install in Chile in order to promote foreigners to invest one more time?
I believe if after these 4 years we have an industry of PPPs, of public-private partnership, that it's admired in the country. As long as those companies, the concessionaires, will make up in the ranking of reputation, because nowadays, you may know, they are not doing so well. As long as we can be regarded as a country that has been receiving foreign investments from the US and new countries that were not players in our industry, and as long as we can say that we are doing several types of concessions, including prisons and the other types that I mentioned to you, after these 4 years, and we increased the pace by 3, 4, or 5 times, we will be very satisfied.
Yeah, thank you. And I think one of between the interesting things that you mentioned in your presentation was that you don't want to announce projects, because it's very easy here to say that we have 30,000, 40,000, I don't know, from here to 20 years, 10 years. So it's for the market, it's more important to see, okay, those are the clear projects, and those are the things, the timing, and how we can achieve them, and how we can invest in them. So which one do you want that it will be the legacy after those 4 years for the team and for the minister that you work in it? Which one it will be the legacy after 4 years?
Yes, it's very easy to compile a list of projects. I mean, anyone can do that. Last year, the MOB created a program that was called National Infrastructure Projects 2025-2055. In a 30 years period, they offer 24,000 projects of infrastructure, which amounts to $450 billion. But without any priority, without any plan, which one are we going to choose and devote our efforts to do first? So what we would like to left as a legacy is a serious infrastructure planning agenda. And in the Ministry of Public Works, there is this planning directorate that has not been doing much in the past years, and now they have a very clear mandate. We need to establish a system in order to prioritize our works and our projects from an objective and technical way. So a change of government will not change those priorities. We have established within that huge list, we have established 70 projects that have been prioritized, and we are working in order to accomplish them. But also we want to give and to left to the country a system that will, without any questions, without any political pressures, without any change of agenda, explain how this list of projects should be accomplished. That should be a good gift to leave the country for years.
Very, very important and challenge goal. I think, as you mentioned, our goal will be execution. because there's been many years that we have heard about a lot of projects, list, presentation on PowerPoint. So let's move from PowerPoint to Excel. Let's move to real projects and to real execution. So we are very pleased with what you mentioned, the Secretary. We're very happy about the new power and enthusiastic approach that you have done. So I think at least all the Chileans and the international investors were very kind of participated in it. And now I would like to offer if there is some questions to try to wake up a little the crowd, because after the lunch sometimes it's challenging. But there is some of them. Yep. Please, if you can say your name, the institution, and a very short question. Thank you.
Sure.
They are bringing a microphone for you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So if there are short questions, perhaps we can add 2 or 3 questions that it will make it more efficient.
In the meantime, moving from the PowerPoint to the Excel, you should be very careful with the Excels as well. So,
yeah, you're right.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Now we have Mike. Undersecretary, I have a question for you. You mentioned during the presentation the diminish of participants in the previous tender process for a while, for 4 to 3, maybe 1. And also you mentioned the risk transfer from the government for the last 10 years from the state to the private. So to what extent do you think that transfer of risk has implied in some way the less attractiveness of those projects? And if so, what is your plan in order to reduce that risk or perception of risk, and to what extent that will increase our, more competitors during this bid process? Sorry, my name is Jose Sangüesa from BICE, the Chilean
Thank you. Thank
bank.
you very much.
Sorry, guys.
Senator Macaya also? Do you want to? Yeah. Una y una? Yeah, one. Okay.
Let me answer that, and then Senator.
We are in InBest, we are very flexible.
Very good accent, by the way, you tricked me. And then Jose from BICE. Wow. So, last year, I am part of what is called the Chilean Society of Construction Law, and we set up a table of 30 people from the industry and from the government in order to propose to, at that time, the government, to improvements of bidding rules and of concession projects. And I would say, and we set up 8 different groups that were working in different areas. All of them concluded that the main issue that we have here is this unreasonable transferring of risk from the state to the private area. And all of them had very specific proposals in order to tackle that. For instance, the Inspector Fiscal, which is the point of contact of the state with the concessionaire. Inspectores Fiscales, they have a huge burden on their shoulders because they have to take administrative issues, legal issues, technical issues, financial issues, and no human being can do that in an efficient way. We are working with our fiscal inspectors in order to give them all the backup that they need and to turn them into contract managers. We need them to be a partner of the concessionaire, not to be the guy on the other side of the table that is looking for problems. They need to understand that the success of their project is their goal as well. It's the goal of both parties. And that's something we are changing. Penalties is something that we are taking into consideration and changing the logic on the ways that have worked. Guarantees, bonds are massive challenges on that regard. Environmental approvals, the state should help a lot more on that regard to work in the pre-investment phase of the project. Chile has a very serious problem that we are not investing much in the pre-investment part of the project, in preparing the financials and in doing better engineer. So once you have those lazy projects built, the problems show up. And that's something that you can change by investing more on early stages, instead of having to invest more at the end with dispute resolutions, with paying extra costs, and taking care of the extra time that the projects are taking. International standards, they invest between 4 and 8% in these pre-investment stages. In Chile, we are investing between 2 and 3. I'm pretty sure if we take all that money that we are spending in a bad way at the end of the project and put it at the beginning, we are projects that are going to be built faster and cheaper.
Great. Senator Macaya, please.
Hi. There is a growing participation of Chinese state-linked companies in Chilean infrastructure, in concessions, in strategic assets. And what do you think about the geopolitical situation in that investment, considering, for example, the situation of Chancay Port in Peru? Are you considering some special things in this geopolitical, in the geopolitical moment of the world?
Yes, and I believe that our presence here is explained in part of what you are questioning. We have had, as a country, we have had different experiences with Chinese contractors, some of them very good, others not so much, but that's something that you can regard of any nationality, right? In Chile, we do have very good contractors and bad contractors as well. I have visited several projects that have been done by contractors. Hospitals, for instance, fantastic hospitals that have been built by Chinese consortiums. The Talca-Chillán route, we are having serious problems with that concessionaire from China. So at the end, what we are looking here is to open up the game to institutional investors from all over the country. We are worried that we do not have US companies investing in our PPP systems. And so basically we're here to take a hedge, because we shouldn't be put in the position of choosing between a mother or a father, right? We would like to have a good relationship with both of them. We've been working with China for 10 years in the PPP system, and it's time for America to step in and be a good player in that area as well.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Yeah, Carlos?
Thank you. My name is Carlos Ruiz de Gamboa. I work for Banco Santander. Question regarding something that perhaps is looking forward. Given the growing interest in data center investments, is Chile doing something about that in order to attract foreign investment for that particular sector, which is very popular around the world, and countries are actually competing to get that piece of a business?
Which sector?
Data centers?
Data, yes, of course. Yes, yesterday we met with some gentleman that is investing $38 billion in data centers in the US. Of course, that the country has an agenda on that regard. It hasn't been part of what the MOP is doing. We can give a warm welcome to our Ministry of Finance. Again, and similar to the desalination example, I don't see that as an area where we need, great public intervention. Of course, we need to help with all is required in terms of permitting, in terms of water availability, in terms of land zoning, and that's something that the country can help. But I don't see public concession system playing a big role on that, because the private sector is doing it greatly, and we believe in the private effort, and we believe in the capacities of our private sector. Since they're working so well in desalination, we would just make sure that they have all the accesses that are required to do that, and I think data center is similar.
Thank you.
Is there any other? Yeah. No, I receive sorry for that. I receive a very gentle sign that we need to stop here. It was So
For your relief, it wasn't the minister, it was an organizer.
No, it was our chairman, so I need to follow the rules. So thank you very much. I think we have been able to do what it was the goal of that. It was a very interesting presentation. I don't know if you have a 10-second final remarks.
Final remark, we are here for a reason. We will be around for a reason, so please stop by. Let's have a conversation. The country is waiting for you.
Yeah, and from our side, as InBest, we need to reiterate one more time that infrastructure is the way how to move and how to put our communities and our country in a better position. All the stories about and all the situation about inequality, growth, the solution is growth. The solution is to become more attractive and to the risk-return formula that you need to work for Chile. We have a lot of competition. Today, the States, Australia, and there are other countries, but we can assure you that Chile has a very long story of a good country where to invest. We have proved that, and the Undersecretary here shows that we have a very good plan. So trust in Chile, and thank you very much.
Thank you.